If you enjoy survival style games like Vampire Survivors or Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, this one might catch your attention. Today we're checking out a game called Filthium Zero, a chaotic bullet heaven roguelite with a pretty unique twist. Instead of just surviving waves of enemies, you're also cleaning the map and extracting a strange substance called Filthium. I actually covered the demo during Steam Next Fest, and now after spending more time with the full game, I can safely say this one is a blast on the Steam Deck. So let's take a look at the gameplay, performance and whether it's worth picking up. In Filthium Zero, you play as a unit soldier tasked with purging areas of Earth that have been corrupted by a mysterious substance called Filthium. The core gameplay follows the classic survival style formula. You fight off large waves of mutants while constantly collecting upgrades that make your character stronger. But what makes this game different is the extraction mechanic. Throughout the map you will find pools of Filthium and you can collect it using a barrel, which can hold about 20 units at a time, and once it's full you bring it to a collector point to deposit it. Only after removing all the Filthium from the area can the zone be fully purified. So instead of just running around surviving waves, you're constantly moving across the map, collecting resources and extracting them while enemies swarm you. It creates a really satisfying gameplay loop of fight, collect, extract and repeat. Another thing that really stands out is the movement system in this game. Most survival style games keep movement pretty simple, but here you can jump, dash, you can bounce off enemies, you can launch yourself into the air and you can slam back down using that extraction barrel. The game mixes ground combat and vertical movement, letting you chain aerial attacks or drop the barrel from above for huge impacts. And because enemies start spawning in large numbers pretty quickly, the action becomes very chaotic very fast. Once you stack a few upgrades, the screen fills with enemies and effects, exactly the kind of madness you can expect from survival type games. Now let's talk about Steam Deck performance. On the lowest settings, the game runs between 30 and 60 FPS. Early in the run, it's usually closer to 60 FPS, but once the screen fills with enemies and abilities, it can drop to around 30 FPS during the most intense moments. That is fairly typical for survival style games where hundreds of enemies can appear on screen. Even with these drops though, the game remains playable on the deck. I also tested the game with lossless scaling, and interestingly this is actually a great candidate for it because the character is quite small on the screen and the mobs as well. Any visual artifacts, ghosting or warping are barely noticeable. You have to keep your eye on the action and avoid the enemies. So I played this for around 30 minutes using lossless scaling and I didn't even notice any issues. There was also no input lag while playing with lossless scaling, so if you want a smoother experience, I think lossless scaling works really well here. There were some moments where it got so intense, even lossless scaling 2 times couldn't keep up. It would drop to about 50 FPS, but I had no issues with the playability and it was still fun and I could still run around and do all that's necessary to survive. Battery life is pretty decent as well. On the Steam Deck OLED I was getting around 2.5 hours of gameplay. Considering a typical run in this game lasts somewhere between 15 and 25 minutes, that's multiple runs before you need to recharge. The game also features full controller support and I think it plays great on the Steam Deck. Movement, abilities and aiming all feel pretty natural on a controller, menus are easy to navigate and overall it feels like a game that was made for handheld play. Each run allows you to unlock new upgrades and abilities that can carry over to future attempts. You can combine different skills, abilities and modifiers to create new builds every run, and there's also a bunch of character and weapons that you can unlock. And the best part, you can grab Filthium Zero for under $5 right now, and for that price it's honestly a fantastic little indie roguelite. The movement mechanics add something fresh to the survivor genre, the extraction mechanic keeps the runs active, and the gameplay loop is pretty addictive. Even with the occasional FPS drops, it's still a really fun game to play on the Steam Deck. If you enjoy survival style games and want something a bit different, Filthium Zero is definitely worth checking out. And if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like, and if you want to see more Steam Deck performance reviews, optimization guides and hidden indie gems, make sure to subscribe to the channel, join the Steam group and follow my Steam Flow curator page. Thank you guys for watching and I'll see you in the next video.